Hello there, welcome back. Um, I turned a cherry burl about 3 months ago. It was smaller than this one. And in those 3 months, that video has gotten over 300,000 views, which completely blows my mind, by the way. So we're going to go ahead and do a larger burl today. In all those comments, one of the prevailing suggestions was that I did a cherry burl, but filled all the voids. Cherry burls always have lots of voids. And I've never tried it. I am listening to you guys and I want to show you what you want to see. So today that's what we're going to do. I know we're going to end up with some voids. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get this into a nice shape and fill all the voids and see what it looks like, because frankly I'd like to see what it's going to be like as well. I'm going to get this between centers, so I've got to get past the bark and be able to secure this to the lathe safely. This burl probably weighs just barely under 25 pounds. It's very hefty, so I'm hoping, yeah, except for this, of course, which I'm just now realizing. I'm hoping that there's some really good solid material in here and it's not rotten all the way through. But again, no way to know unless we try. Faceplate, at least for my comfort level, for sure with this piece. I do not want this thing flying off on me. And see if we can get this rolling. Big hunky piece, but exciting. Getting past the bark is always a bumpy ride. And just made sure my half-inch bowl gouge was nice and sharp a few times, and trying to get past all this bark and see if I can get to solid wood. This blank was actually a lot more balanced than I thought, considering just the size of it. I think a lot of it had to do with the thickness was pretty uniform. So this measured about 15-16 inches by 15-16 inches and about 7 or 8 inches thick. So I'm hoping that I can get past what might be some cherry burl rot and nastiness and get down to some nice solid material and be left with something that I can give away and be proud of. The whole goal of this today is to, as I said earlier, to see if I can get it into a nice shape, and whatever voids are left, we'll go ahead and fill. And I'll show you how I've chosen to do that today, maybe a little unconventionally. And again, it's just, kind of in my head, so I don't know how it's going to work out. This is a first for me for sure. But as I'm doing this, I'm seeing, boy, oh boy, there's a lot of voids. And, but I guess that's what I signed up for, right? Want to establish a nice tenon. I hope that I've got some good solid wood, and it's looking very promising at this point. Just had to kind of go in a little bit, and there was some good material that was not rotted or punky or anything. So far so good. That's a huge plus. We'll mark off for the tenon itself. I went for a little bit of a larger tenon. I know I'm going to have my jaws a little bit wide, but I've found on heavier pieces that if I put it, when I turn it around in the chuck, if it's on a small tenon, it just doesn't feel as secure. Really pleased so far that there's a real good amount of solid material, of course, minus those big cracks and bark inclusion voids, but feeling good, feeling confident right now. Try to start working toward a shape. I'm not really sure what I want to do at this point, but just kind of stop, pause, look at what the blank is giving me, and a lot of times that really dictates very much. Those of you who do turn, you know that dictates very much what you choose to finish up with as far as shape goes. So I've decided to kind of bring it in at the bottom a good amount, and leave the outside, or excuse me, the top kind of as wide as I can. I don't want to lose a whole bunch of size of this blank unless I have to, but kind of feeling this will be a nice shape at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and get the that outside corner smoothed down a little bit just to emphasize the shape. But again, trying to keep this blank as large as I can. I think I might actually end up with a nice size piece when all is said and done. I'm going to go ahead and get some sandpaper on it now and start smoothing things out and really starting to get a picture of what we might be looking at here. I typically don't show a whole bunch of this again because I personally think it's a little boring. But I go to about 400 grit. I'm going to take just some alcohol after I'm done sanding completely and wipe off the piece real well to get any dust or any particles that might be left on here. And boy, oh boy, you know, cherry burl never really disappoints. Really, really pretty, I think. Now we're going to get that faceplate off, get it turned around, and start working on the inside. I am a little apprehensive about that one large void at this point, but again, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. We gotta go forward and see what this piece of wood gives me. Yeah, that thing's a little crazy. So I took out the pick and holy bejeebas. There's a bunch of rot in here and looked like it was had almost turned to dirt. very different from obviously what I experienced on the outside with this blank. But hey, you know, is what it is. Kind of gone this far. Might as well see if I can get through. I'm actually cautiously optimistic at this point, only because the very bottom had so much nice solid material. I'm kind of thinking, well, there's no way that this thing, the rock, could go all the way through. But, you know, we'll see. Get a little bit more of the center mass material out and see if we can get our wall thickness and start establishing our depth as well. So this is, well, it's still pouring out like dirt, as you can see. But at least the void is, well, sort of looking better. Well, maybe not. Okay, hold on. Onward and onward. I mean, it is a decent, deep blank, so, you know, I should be able to go down, keep going down further and hopefully turn past this. So this is starting to feel encouraging because I'm seeing it less and less. Good news. And we'll get our depth set. So I'm not too thick, but I'm also hopefully not going to go through the bottom when I take that tenon off. Now I'm starting to feel pretty good. Gamble paid off, and we've got some nice solid material past that crazy void. We still have a lot of work to do as far as filling cracks and fissures and that sort of thing, but at least I'm not contending with that monstrosity. Shear scraping toward the very end to get rid of my inevitable tool marks and also get a little bit more of the material gone. And we'll sand a little bit, again up to about 400, and keep pressing on. So this is some more alcohol. Got all the sanding done, and just wipe it off really well, get all the particles gone. So we are inside the house, and I was allowed to still work inside the kitchen because it's hot outside, and but of course I had to use a beach towel and resin mold to not get in trouble. So this is Milliput. If any of you have not tried it, it's awesome. It comes in all kinds of different colors. This is terracotta that I chose because I thought that it would go well with the cherry burl color. It comes in a little box, and it's like 2 cigar-shaped pieces of clay. You cut off equal portions, and you just mix it together really well, just like you would clay, and stick it wherever you want. You wake up the next morning and it's hard as a rock, ready to turn. It doesn't have the shiny, sparkly that mica epoxy resin has, but it fills things very, very well, and it is really, really solid. So try it if you haven't already. You can see all the spots around here that I filled. And now at this point, all I have to do is just get this back on the lathe and smooth it down, finish it off. I had a little bit of Milliput left over, my 3-year-old grandson wanted a dinosaur egg and a dinosaur. So obviously I'll be sticking to wood turning because that's my sculpting skills. There's a picture of the Milliput in case you haven't tried it. So I put this back on the lathe on the tenon, which I had done, and it was just crazy wobbly. And I realized one of the voids that I filled was right up against the foot and the tenon, so that's why it was, the chuck was not sitting nice and flush like it had been. So I've got to fix that first before that's that void I did that changed everything. I've got to fix that first before I can use the tenon. So anyway, might as well do the outside and the bottom first. And a lot of this is going to be done with the negative rake scraper. I found that if you try to just sand this, it's basically, if you've worked with epoxy resin before, it's, it would take forever because it's just as hard as conventional epoxy resin. So you've got to use some kind of a scraper or your gouge or something like that. This process went really well. I was really trying to just remove all that Milliput epoxy, and I did not want to change the shape. So I bought this little thing. I can't stand when I'm sanding by hand because I tend to do a lot of that, the sandpaper gets hot. And so I went on Amazon and just bought this. I just put in palm sander. I have no idea who makes this. And boy, this thing worked great. You just stick your little 2 or 3 inch discs on there and off you go. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish it with the fine steel wool and medium Scotch pad and fine Scotch pad like I do on a lot of my pieces. And we'll put some alcohol again on just to make sure I don't have any dust or particles on there before we do any other kind of finishing products. Also gives us a nice look. I like it. I'm going to use a little bit of natural beeswax on the outside, and then I'll just use a cloth to get some heat, and this gives a terrific shine. So time to turn it around now and start working on the inside and on that rim. I had to actually fill the rim, and I'm hoping I end up with a nice solid rim because there was actually a void there. I filled it with the Milliput. And I'm just taking some nice soft shear scraping cuts to get back down to a nice smooth wood surface. And I'll kind of finish up everything with the negative rake scraper again. Back to my handy dandy little palm sander. This thing is great because you can kind of press or not, you can use pressure or not. And anyway, again, just for a couple bucks, I think this thing was pretty cool. It's the first time I used it. More burnishing with the steel wool and the Scotch pads, and then we'll clean it up again a little bit before we do anything on the finishing side of things. So again, this is just alcohol, and we'll let it dry. So this is just Danish oil, and I'll do 1 or 2 coats of this. I think honestly on this one I only did 1 coat, you'll see in the finished pics it actually almost looks like lacquer. It didn't soak in a whole bunch. I think that's why it kind of stayed nice and shiny, but yeah, just plain old Danish oil. I'll get this off and remove that tenon. I use you've seen me do it before probably, I use a vacuum chuck as a jam chuck. I don't set up the vacuum because it's already nice and true. It's attached directly to the headstock. I usually don't have to fuss and play to get the piece centered. Really, really handy. I did need to kind of make the bottom a little bit more concave so it would sit on the outside foot edges. A little more Danish oil at the end so it looks like the rest. And happy, happy. I take that nub off at the drill press and I drill out just the right size for my branding emblem. I'm going to go ahead and put that on, and that'll really be the last thing I do for this piece. If you stayed to the end, thank you, thank you. I've got some really pretty finishing pics coming up. Please stick around for those. Smash that notification bell so you know when other videos are coming out. It's the best way to support me for free, and it's much appreciated. Really, thank you, and appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.